Two teams have made their way out onto the field of play. We are in for something special tonight, live on Talksport. This has got to be one of the weirdest games in Premier League history. It will be the most Spursy thing ever that they upset Man City, get a result, and upset their whole fan base at the same time. Live and exclusive on Talksport, it's Spurs against Man City with former England defender Danny Mills, alongside your commentator, Sam Matterface.
Good evening, everyone. Eurovision, the BAFTAs, Netflix baby reindeer. Yes, I've been told. Taylor Swift gigs, ITV dramas, Alex Garland's revered Civil War. All brilliant, I'm sure. But when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to being on the edge of your seat, give me football any day of the week. 2 games, 2 wins, and City will officially have achieved the only 4 in a row in English football history. And where better to deliver the latest episode? Tottenham, who briefly flirted with being this series' hero, they'll certainly be nominated for Best Supporting Act at least. Their 36 previous games before tonight have seen a total of 130 goals. And curiously this evening, even their harshest critics from up the road will be rooting for them. Pep Guardiola has been the Premier League's leading man for the majority of the last decade. Deliver the right performance tonight, though, and he will feel the season finale will go according to his script. Well, Spurs have been forced into a couple of changes. They make 3 in all. They start with Vicario in goal. The right back is Pedro Porro. Romero is joined by Radu Dragusin, a January signing at the heart of the defence. Mickey van der Ven switches from centre-back to left-back. And in midfield, it's Højbjerg, Bentancur and Pape Matar Sarr. Up front, Son will lead the line, the top scorer with 17 goals, flanked by Brennan Johnson, whose dad once scored against City for Ipswich in 1999, and Maddison, who plays from the left. Ederson is the Manchester City goalkeeper. Their only change is Walker to come in at right back. Ake drops to the bench. Ruben Dias plays alongside Akanji on his 27th birthday today. Guardiola, the left back, who scored twice at the weekend. Kovacic and Rodri will hold in midfield. Silva, De Bruyne and Foden behind Haaland, who has 7 goals in his last 5 games. Referee tonight is Chris Kavanagh. The VAR is Michael Salisbury. And these 2 teams have a lot on their mind. Manchester City in black with a luminous trim, attacking the goal away to our right in the first half. All white for Tottenham Hotspur, shooting from right to left. And it's all about the title. It's all about the Champions League. Danny Mills won 19 caps for England, made over 50 appearances for Manchester City. No one thinks City will falter, but the thing about football is there's always the possibility of a plot twist.
Exciting game, just got underway. Arsenal fans will be biting their nails more than anybody else, I think.
Well, now is the time to do it, says Pep. Whatever happens tonight, the title will be settled on the final day of the season, but worth knowing that since 1989, every team that started the final day on top of the table has finished the final day on top of the table, which it's why it's so important that City get back there tonight.
I think if you said to any manager in any league, you go into the last 2 games and it's in your hands, they would snap your hand off every single time for that opportunity.
Ball kicked long by Ederson, up over the halfway line, headed down by Van der Ven, into midfield where it's picked up by Rodri, hoiks it over the top of the Spurs defence, and then it's smacked back over the halfway line by Romero. The pitch very congested, Tottenham pushing up, City squeezing the space, and it's all happening in a very short space either side of the halfway line in the early exchanges at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
They're trying to hold sorry Sam, they're trying to hold a high line, aren't they, Spurs?
Yeah,
they're trying to keep it very, very high. I mean, the game is being played, like you said, in a 25-yard stretch of the pitch at the moment.
Here is Dragusin, who is under pressure immediately from De Bruyne. Gets it back to Vicario. And then it's sent out wide to Pedro Porro, scored at the weekend. Into Sarr, fouled from behind by Kanji. First free kick of the evening under light blue skies here in North London, 0-0.
Interesting that Maddison's almost playing as a centre forward, Sam. Son's come out onto the left-hand side, Brennan Johnson on the right, and Maddison is the false nine through the middle.
Another fascinating little adjustment from Ange Postecoglou. As the ball goes back to Ederson, away to our left-hand side. He fires it forward. It's into the path of Kovacic, who takes it wide towards the left, and Gvardiol will pick it up and send it back to Akanji. He clips the ball from the edge of the 18-yard box out to the right side, chested down by Walker, and then all the way back to birthday boy Diaz, who finds Rodri. The press is on from Tottenham. Maddison comes across, goes back towards Ederson, and although we were talking about that record over and over again about how many times they've been here, a mistake by Romero, and then Haaland tried to get away. The referee, Chris Kavanagh, well, he blew his whistle very quickly. There didn't seem to be too much in the contact between Haaland and Romero, and if Romero actually hadn't have gone down there, I wonder whether or not Haaland would have been able to escape, and he would have been one-on-one with Vicario.
I think Romero's got away with one, and that's what City do. City will play it around at the back to suck Spurs on, and then suddenly they will burst forward. Very, very clever at that. Haaland was there one-on-one with Romero. I think he was lucky. I think they challenged for the first header, wasn't a foul, and then I think he slipped, lost his footing.
Spurs fans singing "Stand Up If You Hate Arsenal." Ball on the right side.
Just seen if Resh stood up. She didn't.
Out to Son on the near touchline.
She maybe didn't hear it.
Past Walker. She's too busy taking photos, I think, or posted a photo from earlier. Ball played back towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Ederson sweeps up for Manchester City. Ball clipped forward up towards the halfway line, chested down by Haaland, who then gets it back to Kovacic. He sweeps it wide towards the left. Taken on by Gvardiol into Foden. Foden tries to skip past Højbjerg just in front of the centre circle, and Højbjerg does well, does his job, puts out the fire and gives it back to Dragusin, who finds Vicario his goalkeeper. 4 minutes played. Talksport 0-0.
Spurs are living very, very dangerously. They're leaving Erling Haaland one-on-one at the back, whether that be Dragusin or whether that be Romero. I mean, that's living life on the edge.
Yep, well, that's why they like to play, and they have been all season. Dragusin across to Højbjerg. Højbjerg now up over the halfway line into Pedro Porro from Brennan Johnson on the far side, the Tottenham right. I was about to mention that record again that Manchester City have here. It's not a very good one, but the truth is that those 4 games that Spurs have won here in a row against Manchester City have all come with coaches that shape them and choreograph them to shut out Pep Guardiola's team. Mourinho, Nuno Espirito Santo and Antonio Conte. Not progressive Postecoglou. Slightly different tonight. Here is Romero. Again, that central area of the pitch looks like he's going to get worn out over the course of the first half of the game, because all of the play is happening in, it's 12 yards either side of the halfway line, really, isn't it? The 2 thick strips of different shaded green turf is where most of the action has taken place so far.
It's strange, isn't it? Because most coaches would tell you, make the pitch as big as possible.
Good work by Maddison. Turns it round the corner for Bentancur, and then Højbjerg elevates the ball out towards the far side. Over the head of Gvardiol it goes. Picked up by Brennan Johnson, who scampers towards the edge of the penalty area. Feeds Bentancur, shoots down the goalkeeper's throat. It's pushed over the top by Ederson, and it's out for the first corner of the game.
Great effort.
Good football by Spurs.
Yeah, it's a really good play. And again, switching the ball early. Trying to isolate people one-on-one. We know Brennan Johnson's got a little bit of pace. He does well. He gets control of the ball. He cuts inside. Lays it off to Bentancur. First touch is just a fraction under his feet. And maybe he can't quite get the power and accuracy that he wants.
6 minutes gone. Goalless on Talksport. And the ball is in the quadrant, ready for the first corner of the match. Maddison to take it in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away by Gvardiol, only as far as Højbjerg. Sends it left. It's on to Son now, who approaches the edge of the box, looks to go down the outside, then tries to poke it through past Bernardo Silva, who blocks it, clears it to halfway. Højbjerg will look to recycle it, but Erling Haaland is there. to nod the ball out to the far side and away for a throw-in. Actually, Spurs have started the game quite purposefully here. If it was to end like this, Arsenal will be very happy about it. 6.5 minutes to go. 6.5 minutes gone. I haven't gone that fast. It's 0-0 on Talksport.
I just want Spurs to take the lead, Neil. Just to see the reaction in the stadium, because there's been so much talk about it. We now need to see what would happen. I then want City going to score 4 or 5. But just the initial reaction would be great.
Well, it's Spurs who usually concede the first goal. So often that's happened this season. It's hard to think that they won't tonight, really. They have gone 1-0 down in each of their last 5 fixtures in the Premier League. And it's they who have looked the most likeliest in the opening 7 minutes, but it is just 7 minutes on the clock. Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0, Rangers 0, Dundee 0 in the Scottish Premiership, with Rangers needing to win tonight to stop Celtic from being the champions. Here is Bernardo Silva for Manchester City, deep inside his own half, across to Kovacic, who sweeps it wide to the left-hand side. Just up by the halfway line is the Croatian Josko Gvardiol. Gvardiol back to Akanji, and now a chance maybe to elevate the ball over the top. They do that on this right side. Walker, the flag has stayed down, he's burst into the box, he gets into the penalty area, tees it up for De Bruyne inside the area, the shot cannons off the defender and goes behind, and then the flag goes up eventually for offside.
Which I said about 10 seconds ago. He was 6 yards offside. I mean, that's... Look, how far does he need to be offside for the linesman just to put his flag up? That's so obvious, that's just ridiculous.
Well, that was the first Manchester City attempt to send the ball over the top of that high line, and although they didn't time their run perfectly, they showed what damage they can cause.
And that's how you break that high line. It's people running from deep. Talked about Kevin De Bruyne will do it at some stage. Kyle Walker will do it. Maybe Guardiola on the far side. Phil Foden coming from a deeper position. It's those runs that you don't expect that catch you out.
Seagull flying around above our head.
Not a cockerel?
Yeah, the golden cockerel is very much up there, shining as the sun starts to set away to our right-hand side. The big, huge sculpture on top of the skywalk away to our right-hand side dominates the skyline in this area. Walker throws the ball down the right side for Manchester City. On the attack once again. It's with Haaland down by the corner flag. Into Silva now. Silva now trying to take on the defender. It's Dragosan who comes away with the ball, and the Romanian they signed from Genoa. He actually turned down Bayern Munich to come to Spurs and has hardly had any game time. Sends the ball forward. And finds Sarr, who scampers forward over the halfway line. Gives it to Son. Son then miscontrols it. Gives it straight back to Akanji. And deep inside City territory, they bring it clear. Foden skips past 2 challenges, gets to the halfway line, feeds Silva. Silva comes infield, beats Bentancur, looks for Foden, but it was a little bit loose. Maddison takes it on, skips over the foot of Silva, who is a little bit late on James Maddison, and the free kick is given 6 yards short of the halfway line, just left of the centre circle. 0-0.
Yeah, it was unlucky that just before that, Phil Foden, exceptional talent. You know, the body movement, the way that he moves the ball between his feet, absolutely superb. I think City, if Bernardo Silva just got his head up a fraction quicker, I think it was a 2-on-1 situation on the far side out on City's left.
10 minutes gone, 0-0 on Talksport. And what is a big week of live football tomorrow night? We've got Brighton against Chelsea and Manchester United against Newcastle. That's on air from 7 o'clock tomorrow. We're on Talksport and Talksport 2 tomorrow with 2 live games for you. Weekend's going to be massive. We have got 1 game on Talksport, 1 game on Talksport 2, 4 games on the Talksport app. It's the final weekend of the SPL as well this week. There has been a goal at Ibrox. Here's Talksport's David Tanner.
And it's Rangers 0, Dundee 1, and as it stands, Celtic will win the title tonight. Jordan McGee has just scored in front of a half-empty Ibrox Park. Rangers 0, Dundee 1.
Yeah, I don't think they really want to be there when Celtic win the title. It's going to happen tonight or tomorrow, isn't it, really? Realistically, they'll only need the point whatever happens against Kilmarnock tomorrow, Celtic.
You notice, Sam, City have just changed. Almost right on the mark of 10 minutes, suddenly they've changed to a high press, and they're putting Spurs defenders, goalkeeper under real pressure. It's almost like it was like, right, we get to 10 minutes and we're going to change tactics slightly.
Walker on the halfway line gives it back to Diaz, who takes his eye off the ball. Ball sent in field to Rodri. Rodri back to Bernardo Silva, who just drops away from Højbjerg. Rodri, who controls the game like no other central midfielder in the league, gives it to De Bruyne. Almost poked it through the legs of Dragosan and found Haaland, who was going to run in to green grass behind that Tottenham defence. Couldn't quite squeeze it to him. Free kick.
Yeah, Romero just caught Phil Foden a fraction late. I mean, Phil Foden's awareness, ability to see and find space is exceptional.
Walker scampering forward at rapid pace and keeping the ball in down by the byline after it was lifted into an area down the right-hand side. Couldn't stop it from going out, but did stop it from going out for a goal kick. It goes for a throw-in on this near side.
I know Phil Foden's improved a lot and he's got better and better, but that sort of ability, to just be in the right place, find that little bit of space, that's generational talent stuff. Wayne Rooney had that, when he came into the teams at sort of 16, 17 years old. Very few players are able to just always appear to be in space. There he is again.
Look at that. No one around him as he finds De Bruyne, edge of the area, and back to Haaland, and then he wins it again. He just occupies those pockets of space that no one really is able to pick up. And also, Danny, it's what he does with it when he gets hold of it. The twinkle toes, the ability to find the pass between the lines that sets the attack into full swing. Another goal at Ibrox. It's more bad news for Rangers, David Tanner.
Incredibly, 2 goals in 2 minutes for Dundee, Sam. It's Rangers 0, Dundee 2. And it's a ball from the left again. And this time it was a defender up for a free kick, Antonio Portales, who back-heeled it past Jack Butland into the back of the net. Rangers 0, Dundee 2, 4 minutes until the break.
Dundee haven't won at Ibrox since 2001. Here's Walker coming forward for City on the right-hand side, teeing the ball back to the edge of the penalty area. It wasn't a great ball by Walker. It's cut out by Højbjerg and out for a corner on this near side, the first for City.
Phil Foden's furious with him. It was Phil Foden that set him away down this right-hand side. He was at acres of space. Kyle Walker gets himself into a really good position, looks up, sees Phil Foden, who times his run, waist on the edge of the box, but sadly for City, Kyle Walker couldn't pick him out and Højbjerg knocks it out for a corner.
It'll be fascinating to see how they target Vicario here, whether they go for the same sort of tactics they did in the cup final. He's being watched by Akanji now. It's in towards the near post and it's a free header by Diaz. Took a deflection on the way through and goes out for another corner.
They're doing exactly that. Haaland is... There's 3 of them. Is it Diaz started at the far post, Akanji started at the far post and Haaland, and then all of a sudden 2 of them will come across Vicario to put him off, get in his eye line and try and upset him.
Diaz missed the header there. It hit
there
Van der Ven. Here's the corner in towards that central area, and again it's crowded, and Van der Ven was standing in front of Vicario, tried to come for it, couldn't quite get a proper punch on the ball. Eventually it goes out after Kovacic returned fire. And the initial fending away from Vicario just enough, but he is going to be put under pressure from those set pieces, you think, whenever they come City's way.
Clever from City though, because they're leaving him on his own.
Or given away by Maddison, and then De Bruyne picks it up edge of the area, then Rodri keeps it alive inside the penalty area. Højbjerg swipes it, it falls to Foden. What a save, one-handed by Vicario to deny Foden a 26th goal of the season. How on earth has he done that? I mean, Spurs the architect of their own downfall, but Vicario coming to Spurs' rescue in quite stunning style. Foden's effort, 7 yards from goal, it was at point-blank range. Somehow, some way, Vicario shot his right hand up.
It's an absolutely phenomenal save. Spurs give the ball away and then get a little bit unfortunate, and it's Højbjerg that has just a swipe, completely takes it off the outside of his shin, spoons it up. It's an incredible save from Vicario, outstretched right arm, manages to stop Phil Foden. Maybe a fraction casual from Phil Foden, a little bit. That's all I can say about that finish. I was expecting him to smash it goalwards. 6 goals in his last 4 games, Danny. He should have had a 7th, shouldn't he? I think the sort of form he's in, you'd expect him to score there. He hits the target. It's a great save, but you have to say he shouldn't really allow the goalkeeper a chance of making that save.
17 minutes gone. The best chance has come to Manchester City, but Spurs are on the attack now with Son. Down the left side of the pitch, he tries to take on Walker, who steps across, pushes the ball out of play. It goes out and away for a throw. And it's 0-0 between Tottenham and Manchester City, live in the Premier League on Talksport tonight. And tomorrow, Brighton, Chelsea and Manchester United versus Newcastle United. But we are concentrating on this game here as Maddison comes forward into Son, edge of the area, away to our left-hand side. Bentancur onto Sarr, a little bit further wide. The ball comes to Brennan Johnson. He can't sort his feet out. Vardiol goes across, blocks the attempted cross. It bounces behind and goes out for another Spurs corner. You're listening to Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0 on Talksport with Now. And don't forget that you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Tottenham Manchester City live right now, contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports. Here's Danny Mills.
Well, clearly the Spurs players haven't got the memo about wanting, obviously, themselves to lose. I mean, they're having a good go at the moment. They're playing like they normally do. They created a couple of good chances. They've now got a set piece on the far side.
Here is the set piece from Maddison in towards the near post, and heading the ball is Romero, and it's a little bit wider of the 6-yard box than he would have hoped, but comes out as far as Son, who has the chance to recycle it. He twists one way, then the other down the left side in front of Guardiola. His cross spoons into the air. He takes it down again and looks to attack Bernardo Silva. Vardiol comes across again. Still Son is tussling with it. Wants a free kick. Referee doesn't give it. And it's cleared away to halfway by Bernardo Silva. No club with the status of and the history of Spurs can scoff at the prospect, however unlikely, of playing in the Champions League, Danny, because the possible consequences for Arsenal, I mean, they just can't come into their mind. If Villa had won last night, one or two maybe might have been thinking about such things, but from a professional point of view, the Spurs players were always going to come out here. The manager was always going to set them up in a way here to try and disrupt Manchester City's best laid plans. Certainly, Dundee have been doing their job at Ibrox, but there has been a twist there. We'll get there in just a second, but Son has sent Højbjerg away, and his cross is blocked by Akanji, so let's go to David Tanner.
And just as on Saturday at Celtic Park, Rangers have pulled a goal back after going 2 down just before half-time. Ross McCausland, the Northern Ireland international, scored it from an acute angle in stoppage time in first half. It's Rangers 1, Dundee 2 now. What
they will hope, David, is that this time no one gets sent off just seconds later, which is what happened at Celtic Park. Haaland is through the middle. Van der Ven trying to hold him off. He's played in by Foden. Edge of the area. Van der Ven and Dragosan handle Haaland brilliantly. Nick the ball inside the D before he threatens to get away. And then almost tie themselves in knots again with short passing on the edge of the penalty area. But they dealt with that threat really well, Danny Mills.
Yeah, they did. We've seen that, Haaland, very, very strong, very, very powerful. They doubled up very, very quickly. But just on what you were talking about, Spurs players wanting to win this game, of course they do. They want to be playing in minimum Europa League next season. They don't want to be playing in the Conference League. No one really wants to play in that. Not really a massively recognised competition. If you've got the chance to play in, if it's your only chance, then you take it. But if you've got a chance to be in Europa League, you want to be in that. And also, there'll be Spurs players thinking, the world is watching tonight. Euros coming up. Different players going off to play for their different countries, nationalities. But also, if you have an absolute worldie tonight against Man City, possibly the best team in the world, you're talking about, actually, maybe a new contract, or maybe someone comes in for you, or, whatever might happen. We all know players are selfish, first and foremost. They're going to play for themselves first. But also, it's interesting, the crowd is really behind Spurs. Every time there's a clearance, an attack, there's lots of cheering, there's lots of clapping going on. It doesn't feel like they're desperate for their team to lose.
It's a bit quiet though, isn't it?
Yeah, but every time, so just listen when there's a clearance or an attack. They're clapping, they're cheering.
Yep.
It's not sort of the atmosphere that maybe we were expecting, thinking, Spurs fans
I don't
want
think
to
we
lose.
Really knew what to expect, did we?
Well, if we listened to refs, we did.
Half-time at Ibrox, and it's Rangers 1, Dundee 2, and Rangers have kept everybody on the field of play this time after getting a goal back in that match.
That was a ludicrous tackle, by the way, wasn't it? Even in my day, that was ludicrous.
Coming from you, that's quite some statement, isn't it?
Only got 7 red cards.
Here is Foden down the right side into the penalty area. It's Walker moving up towards the edge of the 6-yard box, slides it towards De Bruyne. Well read by Romero, intervenes brilliantly, and Romero now has gone on a forward run They've got to play him the ball forward. They didn't do that, and now he's got to get back. I mean, that was a great opportunity, really, for him to be fed the ball in those circumstances. They didn't do it, and Tottenham a little bit handbrake on tonight, more than I've seen them in recent times. I mean, against any other opponent, Danny, I think they would have released the hounds there.
Well, I also just wonder if Postecoglou has thought, you know what, after all this chat about Spurs fans want to lose the game and everything else, he's probably made it clearer than ever before he wants to go out and win. It's quite cantankerous at times, isn't he?
Yeah, he's quite contrary. Here is Romero, who made that swashbuckling run from centre half into the inside left position, but wasn't fed by Maddison, who was better at the weekend after struggling a little bit on his return to first team action after his injury. I think he struggled a little bit physically to get up into full speed, but was much better at the weekend. 22 and a half minutes gone, so we played half of the first 45. It's Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0 on Talksport. And here is Vicario, the goalkeeper who's made a stunning save from Phil Foden already tonight. Dragusan, Porro, right side, trying to tuck the ball round the corner was Brennan Johnson. And Johnson sees it out of play over on the far side. Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0 on Talksport with Enterprise. Enterprise has 450 branches for all your business needs. Here's Vicario, edge of the 6-yard box, plays it out towards the near side. Dragusan goes on a run down the left-hand side. De Bruyne gets hold of it, but the tackle from Rodri was an illegal one. It's going to be a free kick halfway inside the Spurs half of the field. It's been a rather less chaotic start to the game than many of the matches that you see involving Tottenham Hotspur.
I was expecting City to dominate possession a little bit more, be on top a little bit more in this game. I think Spurs have acquitted themselves very, very well up to this point. Okay, there was that slice clearance from Højbjerg that Foden probably should have scored from. But apart from that, not been too much for Spurs to worry about.
Well, Spurs have had 61% of the ball so far, and that against Manchester City is unheard of. And they've played a really good ball down the left. Van der Ven looking to find Bentancur, who swings the ball to the far post. Arriving was Johnson on the edge of the area. Porro's got it, edge of the box, former City player, tries to charge forward, stopped by Gvardiol, and City bring it up towards the halfway line. 0-0 the score.
Again, good defending. Didn't dive in, just waited for Porro to try and decide what he was going to do, and in the end almost had to stand still. Didn't buy the little dummy, walked away with the ball. Still waiting for City to play that ball over the top, whether it be a little ping diagonal.
So cagey, isn't it, at this moment in time?
Yeah, sometimes I thought City might be a little bit more on the front foot. I guess what they will try and do, they'll just keep, as they do so many times, they wear you down. They break you down mentally, pass after pass. The concentration levels you need to play against this City side are absolutely immense.
Might be why they've applied themselves in the manner they have so far. Romero with an outside of the right boot ball, which looked to side through the City defence. Son was off and running and ready to receive it, but Diaz managed to step in. Ball over the top, looking for Højlund. Dragusan steps in, rises, heads the ball clear. Again, now Tottenham have the ball right inside their own half, but with City now the high line that Spurs want to try and exploit. Floated over the top, doesn't reach the head of anyone apart from Diaz, who heads it into the path of Rodri. He wanders up towards the halfway line. It's almost a little bit like that Chelsea game where you're just waiting for that one key ball that breaches the lines of the defence, and you know that someone's going to get a chance sooner rather than later. Sarr plays it down the inside right channel, but it was too ambitious for Johnson, and easily into the arms of Ederson away to our left-hand side. 0-0.
Yeah, City are probing, aren't they? They're Tottenham living on the edge, as they do. And you're right, City just looking for that one ball to release whoever it might be to get in behind that Spurs defence.
Porro far side, finding Johnson. Johnson back to Madison into Bentancur. Round the corner it goes from Porro. A nice cross from Johnson into the centre, flicked away by Diaz, not with much purpose, and it goes out and away for a corner. And they've had one or two little skirmishes inside
listen to the cheers.
Opponent's half.
There you go. Look, they're cheering the team's got a corner. They're willing them to score. They want them to score.
Well, no one's saying that everybody inside the stadium doesn't want them to play well. I think the point
there's a lot of people
when you wake up tomorrow morning, how are you going to feel? I think that's probably more like it. Madison picking the ball up edge of the penalty area. Ball sent back towards the midpoint of the Tottenham half. Back to Pedro Porro again, and this is a Spurs corner, by the way, and Spurs have taken this back towards the halfway line. Now they're building down the left-hand side. That just shows you how careful they're being at this moment in time. Careful because they don't want to overcommit. Careful because they don't want to invite Manchester City to hit them on the counter-attack. Careful because they know that if they are going to beat Manchester City again, for the 5th time in a row here, they're going to have to plot their way to success, Danny.
Maybe they need a set-piece coach for attacking set pieces as well. Maybe you can ask Ange that afterwards.
Yeah, he likes that question.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. You might get an Antonio Conte answer off the back of that.
To be fair, I almost got one at Newcastle the other week. Here is Pedro Porro on the right side. Nearly half an hour played in the big match of the week. Tottenham against Manchester City, only on Talksport. And Saturday, we'll have the League One playoff final for you, live on Talksport. You won't hear that anywhere else. And then Sunday, Talksport, Talksport 2, 4 games on the app. We've got every angle covered for you on the final day of the season, just as you would want us to. And then remember, the following week we've got the FA Cup final and the Championship playoff final back to back before the England internationals take centre stage ahead of Euro 2024, which we're very excited to bring you here on Talksport. Every single one of the games is live across the network. Make sure you join us for that. Ball out over on the far side, just inside the Manchester City half of the field. Thrown into De Bruyne. Now a chance to turn and spread the play to the right. Silva speeds out towards the near touchline, just about keeps it in. He's halfway inside Tottenham territory. On the attack, guides it back to Walker. Infield it goes to Rodri. And further into Kovacic. Out wide towards the left-hand side and Gvardiol. He then guides it back to Akanji. Akanji now to Rodri. And then he nudges it all the way back to Diaz. There's still a slow pace about the City build-up. They're not snapping into gear just yet, but now they move with a little bit more purpose, and Silva finds De Bruyne in the area, but before he can reach it, the Uruguayan Bentancur pinches the ball, takes it to the touchline. It goes out of play and away for a throw-in. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester City 0. The latest odds are available via Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Spurs to win at 5-1, City 9-4 on to win the game, the draw 19-5. It's all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+, BeGambleAware.org.
Spurs doing well, working very, very hard. Every time there's a slight mistake or City look like they're going to get in down one of the sides, then someone's coming across and covering for them. They're working incredibly hard, being very, very disciplined and stifling City at the moment.
Well, remember, Manchester City regained top spot in the Premier League briefly at the weekend. They hope if they get there tonight it will be longer lasting. And on the attack now, Haaland's won it back after City were gifted it by Mickey van der Ven, who's playing in the unfamiliar left fullback role. He has played there before. He played there for Wolfsburg against Bochum back on the 23rd of April 2023. That was the last time he featured in that position from the start. He did play the last 15 minutes of the Burnley game in that zone after Oliver Skipp had to come off, filling in there for Destiny Udogie, who's still out injured. And there's still quite a few Spurs players who are out injured. Richarlison and Bissouma not available tonight. 60% possession for Tottenham after half an hour. Not something you hear of very often against Manchester City. Walker back to Bernardo Silva, into Diaz on halfway, crowded out by Sarr and Son. This is very, very well coordinated Tottenham pressing.
And as I said, they'll want to get into the Champions League, or at least guarantee themselves a place in Europa League. These players, will be going all out. Don't worry about that.
City just not quite at the races at this moment in time. Still 0-0. Here's Højbjerg, edge of the centre circle, out wide towards the right. Johnson takes it on now. Infield it goes to Emil Højbjerg once again, and he then sends it back to Dragusan. Again, slightly cautious from Spurs, slow build-up play, out towards this left-hand side to Son, then back to halfway. Guardiola looking a little bit tense on the touchline, when doesn't he? Stroking his chin and watching on from the edge of the technical area as the ball goes up towards the right-hand side, and then it sort of came back to Højbjerg on the halfway line. He hit it first time when really he needed to take a little bit more care with the ball, and it goes back to Ederson away to our left-hand side. Are you surprised by the Spurs approach?
No. I always said the players will come out and do this. Players are selfish. Players will play for themselves, more than anything else. And I said they might be playing for new contracts, playing for a move, playing to get into the Champions League.
But
no
this is more
is.
methodical, more thoughtful Tottenham than we've seen so far this season, which has almost been a little bit like, defend high up to the halfway line and then release the hounds.
But I think maybe the players will realise this is one of the best teams in the world. They won't want to get embarrassed in any way, shape or form because of that. And they know that if you go like that, City can rip you apart. And sometimes, it's a little bit of a smokescreen when Ange talks about, I'm going to play one way no matter what.
Got a chance here. Son is at the back post, but Johnson is attacking down the right. He gets into the penalty area, tries to slide the ball through the 6-yard box. He's bobbled off the hands of Ederson and goes out for a corner over on the far side. He wasn't sure-handed there, Ederson, as the ball came in from Johnson.
Not sure if it took a little deflection or he was just a little bit surprised. I think Brennan Johnson was trying to cross this. He goes past Guardiola. I think he is. I think he's trying to whip this across goal. Doesn't quite get it right. Yeah, there's a slight deflection.
And that's what outfoxes Ederson. He just sort of came into his chest very quickly. He closed his arms together. Couldn't quite hold on to it, and it spilt behind and away for a corner. Taken on the far side by Maddison. In towards Romero. There's a bit of confusion inside the box. Son gets a volley, but he miscues it. It squeezes out to the far side. And then De Bruyne puts it out off Maddison. And it goes out for a goal kick. He's not happy about that. Maddison believes that the final touch was off the Belgian.
I would have given a corner if I'm honest. I know we're a long, long way away. But it looked like the way that De Bruyne steamed out to that. From here it looked like a corner. We get a replay of it. It's a corner.
Definitely a corner. And you can hear the geezer behind us who's watching at the monitor, and they're all it was definitely a corner, yeah, you're right. The boys behind trying to look over at our monitors, where they saw the decision that had been made by the assistant on the far side, and Chris Kavanagh was the wrong one. Either way, City have the ball with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Well won by Porro halfway from Foden. Lovely ball into Son. Now a chance to attack. He's got numbers over on the right-hand side. One of those is Pedro Porro. Sarr is waiting in the centre. The ball delivered into the box. Not a great one from Pedro Porro. Easily defended by Rodri, who was stationed perfectly. What a ridiculous tackle by Bentancur.
That's the second one as well.
On Foden. And he's going to be booked for that. The ball's back in Tottenham Hotspur's favour. Foden is up and moving. They want to play on, but there's no doubt that Bentancur is going to get booked as soon as this game stops, because it was just a stupid challenge.
Right, now, if the referee is sensible and had a bit of game management about him, Phil Foden got up and was really angry. Could see him sprinting off. The referee should have just quickly got near Foden and said, look, I'm going to book him. I played an advantage, because Phil Foden didn't see that, and he's angry. And because he's angry, he might get himself booked. So the referee has to manage that situation a little bit better.
It's a really poor, unnecessary challenge.
And it's his second or third one, isn't it?
The ball's out of play now. The referee's going to stop the game. He's going over to Bentancur, and there's a yellow card. I think we all knew that was coming. 10 minutes before half-time. Well, Manchester City haven't had much time to rest. They've had to use their legs wisely. Their intense league clashes have been sandwiched between that Champions League clash with Real Madrid, which was taxing both emotionally and mentally, and physically as well, going into penalties. They have remained pretty ruthless and focused in the last few matches. They've won the last 3 Premier League away games without conceding, and their recent performances against Brighton, Wolves and Fulham have been a merciless show of strength, but they haven't been as smothering as they were at Fulham on Saturday here tonight. In fact, they've had less of the ball tonight than Tottenham Hotspur so far.
Do you not think this is pretty much sums up City's season, though? They've not been sparkling all season, have they? It's been it's been more attritional. We know they play fantastic football, but I think we're used to them absolutely annihilating teams, destroying teams very, very easily. A lot of their goals have come later on in games as the other teams have got tired.
Yeah, but Dan, they haven't lost a game in 90 minutes since December the 6th.
I get that, but when you look at the City team and the way they've played this season, from what we've come to expect,
I think that was certainly true in the first 6 months of the season. Yes, I think in the second half of the season they've been more like their old self.
but I don't feel that they're still not blowing teams away early on like they used to.
No, I mean, they did that when we were down at Brighton the other week. I think they probably can say they did that against Fulham on Saturday. But this is a big game, isn't it, against an opponent who's certainly got a point to prove, it feels. And Tottenham have won the ball back high inside opposition territory. Lovely reverse ball into Højbjerg from Maddison, who falls over as he's challenged by Walker, and his cross dribbles into the arms of Ederson.
He was waiting for a foul, he was waiting for some contact. He realised he had no chance of outpacing Kyle Walker and just thought, if I'm clever, I might get a foul. Wasn't quite clever enough.
38 minutes on the clock. Night starting to descend on Tottenham Hotspur.
City had one shot so far. Just the Phil Foden one on target.
Yes, so far. Just the one shot on target, saved by Vicario. That brilliant save by Vicario, whose shot percentage ratio actually dipped quite markedly after that first 10 games of the season. He went from 78% shot percentage saved down to 58%. Good football by Manchester City. Kovacic works it wide, out to the left where Gvardiol picks it up, then chips it to the far side of the area. Silva takes it on, goes down the outside, then waits, goes back to Walker, who's 6 yards outside the box. Lovely cross to Gvardiol again, and he volleys the ball over the top of the bar when Haaland was waiting in the centre. And you just wonder whether or not, despite his recent goal-scoring record, which is nothing short of amazing, really, 5 in his last 7 appearances, Gvardiol, whether or not he should have centred that ball into Haaland, who was free inside the 6-yard box.
Sure, I mean, he scored a couple of goals, now he thinks he's a centre-back forward. That's his problem. I mean, he should have squared that. Erling Haaland would have been an absolute tap-in. A little bit like the Villa one should have been last night, which was just one of the misses. It was up there with Ronnie Rosenthal, wasn't it?
It was Diego Carlos, aren't you?
Unbelievable. I mean, he got his feet all wrong, missed from a yard out. Not very often that you see that. But I just think, at the back post there, it's a difficult skill to have an inside soft volley into the far corner. If he'd just pulled it back, Erling Haaland had a tap-in header.
Yeah, if you do, by the way, want a brief moment of levity, then don't be afraid to put YouTube on and watch the Talksport watch-along as you're listening to our commentary. Even if it's just to look at Jamie O'Hara in a Manchester City shirt. Don't ask me what that's all about. The Sports Bar, which Jamie will be a part of as well, is open for business from 10 o'clock tonight. 03717 2233 44, and he'll be alongside Jason Cundy. Here is Walker on halfway. A game of very few incidents and a lot of caginess, given away by Diaz, but he was under pressure from Sarr, and that was illegal pressure, according to Kavanagh, the referee, and it's a free kick just short of the halfway line. At the moment, by the way, remember, in Scotland, Celtic are about to win the title. They're 45 minutes away from winning the title because Rangers are not winning their home game against Dundee. Here, at the moment, if it stays like this, it will be in Arsenal's hands on Sunday, the final day of the season. Because at this moment in time, a draw means that going into the final day of the league season, we'll be in a scenario where the table says at the top, Arsenal, 86 points. Second, Manchester City, 86 points. But the goal difference will be superior in Arsenal's favour by 3. That's if it stays like this. We shall see. 5 minutes to go before half-time. Bernardo Silva forward into the centre circle. Ball chucked into space for De Bruyne to chase, but Dragosan's going to mop that up.
City just seem a little edgy, would you say, at the moment?
Yeah.
Not quite fluid,
Absolutely.
is it? Not at their silky best. There's some good stuff in and around the midfield. Very, very surprised they've not played some balls in behind. Van der Ven has played well at left back. He's done exactly the right thing. He knows Bernardo Silva wants to come inside, so he said, OK, I'll try and stop that. If you want to go past me, he's quite happy to have a race down the line. No surprise there.
there's a tentativeness about them.
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Might not be now, because Phil Foden has been fouled over on the far side by Pedro Porro, and that's generated a free kick, a set piece. And we know the prowess that City possess from such dead ball situations, and we know how vulnerable Spurs are. They've conceded more set piece goals than anybody else this season in the Premier League. And surely after all the hard work that they've done just before half-time, Dan, the last thing they'll want to do is concede here.
And City are a big side as well. You know, I mean, people forget that. You know, Rodri, Akanji, Haaland, Diaz, Guardiola, they're all big lads, good headers of the ball.
And standing over it, the man with more assists in all competitions this season than any Premier League player, Kevin De Bruyne. He missed half the season as well. He steps up, right-footed, and will send it into the back edge of the penalty area. Vicario comes, stretches his arms into the sky, and does very well to catch it. No such problems from that dead ball.
But why roll it out so quickly and put your players under pressure?
It's a great question, because he certainly has done that. Van de Ven has dealt with it. Maddison has too. He's twisted back inside under pressure from Rodri, though. Then fed Bentancur. The press is on from Manchester City, but Spurs have done very well to get out of it. And Son plays it down the left. Bentancur now with a chance to break. Van de Ven's down the left if he can find him. It's a poor ball by Bentancur. He was trying for Johnson. It was 4-on-2 in Tottenham's favour, and they've lost the ball. And now in transition, Manchester City are on the charge. Silva on the right side. Left-footed ball takes a deflection and bounces into the arms of Vicario. Well, that's about as end-to-end as it's got so far tonight.
Just goes to show how quickly a game can almost change in that instance. Spurs on the attack, 4-on-3 I think at one stage. Wrong decision made, poor pass, and suddenly City are on the attack at the other end. Bernardo Silva in acres of space, cutting inside, didn't quite get his cross right, and the deflection took it very, very easily to Vicario's arms.
You've got to make the most of those moments if you're Tottenham, haven't you? You get into that situation,
Definitely.
You've got options left and right, you've got to pick the right pass, and Bentancur didn't do that.
And that's the skill. Half the time is not, do these players have the ability to do it? Of course they do. It's about picking the right decision under pressure. That's where the real skill comes in.
Well, Rodrigo Bentancur, who was booked for a silly challenge, has just waited a big opportunity. And now Manchester City come down the other end with Gvardiol on the left-hand side. Into the area he goes, fed by Haaland, goes back to Kovacic. Again now, a bit more tentative again from Manchester City, and then Rodri just elevates the ball out of play, midway inside the Tottenham half, just straight out on the far side and away for a Tottenham throw-in. And that kind of sums up Manchester City's first half performance.
Yeah, a little bit disjointed. Just seen Pep on the monitor sort of just slump back into his chair thinking, what's going on?
Here's Rodri taking things by the scruff of the neck. The ball spills after a challenge with Højbjerg into the path of De Bruyne. Down the left to Foden. Foden into the box. Comes to Haaland. Blocked by Van de Ven. Here is Silva. Blocked by Dragosan. I mean, they're taking the applause. It wouldn't have counted anyway because the offside flag was up. But was a brilliant block from Dragosan, who cheers that like he's just scored the winner in the Champions League final.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it? He just stood there and went, I will not be beaten, as it smacked him in the head. I mean, we're just... Oh, I tell you what, it's tight as well. Maybe just an arm. But what a block. Stands his ground. Bernardo Silva just looking to bend it into the far corner.
It was a brilliant reaction from Dragosan, who looked like a samurai warrior defending the castle as he nodded the ball over the top and out for a corner, which never came anywhere because of the offside flag, and stoppage time hasn't come because there hasn't been anywhere near the kind of action that you would have thought from a Spurs Manchester City game that could end up deciding the title. Manchester City know if they falter on Sunday, Arsenal will hold the title in their hands, and right now City not quite at it and not able to get the better of Tottenham Hotspur. It's Tottenham 0, Manchester City 0.
Well, Manchester City weren't particularly good, I don't think, in that first half. We'll talk more about that in a moment with Danny Mills, but there's a goal in the second half at Ibrox. David Tanner.
And Rangers, Adrian, have pulled it back. It's Rangers 2, Dundee 2 after 53 minutes. Todd Cantwell crossed it from the left, and there was Cyril Dessiers at the back post with a glancing header. So Rangers 2, Dundee 2.
Could all be academic. Celtic tomorrow need a point to take the title. Listen, Danny Mills, I don't think that's been particularly good from either side, really. It's a different Spurs. It's a bit of a weird one from Manchester City's point of view. But for a few flashes from Phil Foden in that first half, it feels to me like City have been fairly limited in their ideas and pretty clueless how to break Spurs down, really.
Can't agree more. They've been off it.
Yeah,
it's simple as that. And the Foden's genius, if you like, has been in the middle third. Hasn't been in the final third, has it? I mean, the chance that he probably should have done a little bit better with wasn't really any of his creation. It was a wild slice by Højbjerg that afforded him that opportunity.
It was a good assist from Højbjerg. He got the message from the Spurs fans.
Yeah. City, they've been a bit blunt, a bit toothless, you know, so far. They haven't really been on the front foot.
Or are they playing rope-a-dope, Pep Guardiola style, where he kind of teases things out and plays out a little bit at time, lulls Spurs into a bit of a false sense of security, and then does something, switches something. You know what they did after 10 minutes? They switch something, do something in the second half that Spurs simply can't cope with.
It's brave.
Or are we?
It's brave, but I'd rather be 2-0 up at half time.
Yeah, I think we're being too respectful of Manchester City, really. It genuinely, to me, looks like they've not been on it at all today. One thing that's intrigued me is Bentancur. He's stamped on Phil Foden's foot, got away with that one, that free kick they got, no booking for that one. Then he sliced him in half in the Man City half, got a yellow card for that one. It's almost like Arteta's giving him a team talk tonight, Bentancur. He's living dangerously, but they're targeting Phil Foden. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because when we talked about it, he's incredible at finding the spaces, getting on in between the lines on the half turn, and his first thought is, can I go forward? I'll let the ball run across me, I'll take it with my back foot, can I pass the ball forward? Can I run forward? Can I make something happen? And that's what all the best players do. It has to be your first thought. Can I go forward? Too many players play safe, pass it backwards. They've got great stats, didn't give the ball away, you know, 99% success rate. Yeah, because 99% of those passes were backwards, simple as that. Phil Foden gets on the half turn, takes risks. We just need to see a little bit more movement from City. There's been none of that movement really in behind. No sort of third man running, deep midfielders running in behind. I think City will have to change it at half time.
They've got to do something different, otherwise it's going to end 0-0, which is no good for Spurs, no good for Man City, but is brilliant for Arsenal, who must be delighted at half time watching this. You talked halfway through the first half about the crowd really behind Spurs. They were singing a song which I can get away with on a night like tonight, which was Stand Up If You Hate Arsenal. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I make you right what you said. Behind us, there was a Van de Ven challenge on Haaland. He got the better of Haaland. The fans behind us were up out their seats and applauded, and they loved it.
I mean, they've applauded every defensive tackle, every clearance. Every time they've gone forward, they've cheered and they've celebrated corners and they've clapped. It's a better atmosphere than I thought it was going to be, and probably most of us thought it was going to be. I think maybe a few of us think it might be a little bit muted. It might be a little bit weird this evening. I think it's been fairly normal, to be honest.
I think that I still believe what I said at the start, that in the moment you can't help, because it's inside your heart and the soul.
Yeah, I get that.
You can't help but want your team to do well. If you stop a great player like Haaland, or if you score against a great team like City, if you beat a great team like City, then you want to celebrate that moment. The consequences of it will come afterwards, and there may well be some repercussions that it's a bit like a hangover. Do you know what I mean? On the night you're having a great time, next morning you'll think,
but the thing is there's still one game to go, so this is not definitive.
It kind of is, though. City are home to West Ham, who, listen, who knows what might happen. You're expecting all of that. Arsenal at home to Everton. Come on. It's definitive. Tonight is it.
Sean Dyche has got the tracksuit out.
He has got the tracksuit out.
He's just got manager of the month. Oh yeah, that means you lose, doesn't it? After
but they won straight after he got it. So
well, there you go then.
They're on a great run. There's no doubt about it. You can't take them lightly, but you would expect Arsenal to be.
Of course, yeah, but again, we would expect City to have been much better in this game and winning the game by
here's
now.
Something we've missed here, just very quickly. This is City coming away to a team that's fifth, fighting for fourth. It's not like they're coming away to an injury-hit Wolves or Sheffield United. This was always, in the calendar of the season, this was always going to be a tough game, and so it's proved.
Yeah, it is. But equally, that the two last games of the season, you never quite know what's going to happen, because sometimes players play with a bit of freedom, They have that, doesn't matter now, shackles are off. We can go and enjoy it. We can play football. We can take a few more risks. We've got nothing to lose attitude. And that can derail some teams. It can go the other way, and people go, and that's when people will say, oh, they're on the beach, flip-flops are on, speedos are on, whatever, and you get heavily beaten. But we've also seen it the other way around, where suddenly a team goes, where did that performance come from? Because suddenly there's no pressure. And it's a bit like sometimes when you see a team 3-0 down, and they come out in the second half and are amazing. Well, yeah, because all the pressure's gone. It's a lot harder to play at 0-0 than it is at 3-0 down, trust me.
Danny Mills in Speedos. I want that image out of my head.
Not me.
As soon as possible.
Players, I said. Players.
The idea of Speedos came to your head, so it's in your head already.
Well, in this day and age, these players, they wear the little short things, don't they, or whatever. I'm pretty sure there's a few Italian players out there wearing them.
Quite possibly. We'll move on, shall we? You're listening to Kick-Off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org. It is Spurs 0, Man City 0, and Arsenal are quite happy with that.
McDonald's are making small improvements to our classic burgers, searing our 100% British and Irish beef patties so they're even juicier. And we're serving them hotter for meltier cheese, all in new toastier buns. The classics, now a little more Comparison with prior classic burgers, served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
Kick-Off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Who are you going for in the racing today? The favourite. And tomorrow? The favourite. And the next day? The favourite. The Sun's horse racing pullout, The Favourite, is now in the paper 7 days a week. Yes, that's right. Every single day. Bringing you even more top tips, more form guides, more race cards, and all the colours and silks. Get your favourite pullout every day in the Sun, the home of racing.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Mwah. When it's lunch o'clock, I just eat the tortilla naked burrito bowl.
Oh, I didn't know you could get those.
There's a lot you don't know, dear.
Well, I know that shirt's not coming back into fashion anytime soon.
Touché.
Get tortilla, Subway, Pret, and more delivered. For lunch and everything else.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Charges apply. Check available restaurants in your area and opening times on justeat.co.uk for details.
Whether you're drilling or decorating, get the job done with big spring offers on trade essentials at Screwfix. Upgrade your kit and save £10 on the DeWalt brushless cordless combi drill, now only $159.99. And get rolling on those paint jobs with 2 for £26 on 10-litre Fortress Trade contract matte paint. Shop spring offers now on the app at screwfix.com or in store. Delivery fees may apply. Prices valid until at least June 2nd, subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
There will be 14 minutes of extra time.
With Betfair's 90-minute payout, you don't have to wait for the final whistle to celebrate, because your winning bet will be paid out in full at 90 minutes. Betfair.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Kick off on Talksport with Now. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Tottenham versus Man City live today, contract free with a Now Sports membership. Search Now Sports. 18+, stream via internet. Terms apply.
Feel the full force of football.
Have we got something special for you?
Kick-off live.
What a great bit of play.
On Talksport.
Live at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it is half-time. It's Spurs 0, Manchester City 0. As it stands, Arsenal will be in control of the title going into the final day of the season. Just one shot on target from Manchester City in that first half. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
So 0-0, Spurs are 19-4 to win. City are 5-3 on. The draws was 14-5. Foden to score the first goal was 5-1. Been price boosted that to 6-1. Kevin De Bruyne to score any time was 5-2. It's now 11-4. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Let's bring back in our celebrity Spurs fan, game day goddess, Reshmin Chowdhury. You're laughing now. Are you unhappy that it's Spurs 0, Man City 0?
No, I'm not. I did find myself in certain moments sort of applauding my team, and I thought, oh, am I? Yeah, I am, but only because it's safe at the moment. It's just about safe. It's a really strange one. I'm absolutely conflicted, and it's funny because when I look at the bigger picture, if I was looking at it from the point of view of, as I say, like a normal human, not the tribal view, I would say, look, get into the top 4, get the budget, build the team, and try and compete with the likes of Arsenal. But because I literally bring it down to the level of a football fan, I can't do that. I can't look at that, and I'm really sort of hoping for something positive for us and as fans.
Reshmin Chowdhury admitting she's not a normal human being has made my night.
God's often aren't. That's why. Or
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, are you hoping for like a disastrous VAR decision so you can sort of go away guilt-free?
Yeah, that's actually quite a good way of looking at it. I don't want us to get thumped, but I do think it's something you said, and we were discussing it here as well, that Adrian, that I think Pep is going to turn the screw in the second half. This is not going to continue like this. Tottenham do not have this level of possession. City don't give up that level of possession. And I do think something's going to change, and I do think they will score, because they should score with the players that they have. We have had half chances. We're really missing something in that final third. So I see City scoring, and as long as we don't get absolutely thumped, I think I'm okay with that.
It was a miraculous save from Vicario. What was going through your heart and mind?
Yeah, it was one of the, and Dragusin as well. I mean, it was offside, but when Dragusin did that, I thought, ooh, all right, go on then. and Vicario, I was all right with it. I was all right.
But you were also all right when Phil Foden, the ball was right in front of him and he was about to score.
Yeah,
you were okay with that too, weren't you?
I'm all right with all of it at the moment.
You've been surprised with there was an early a loud chant of stand up if you hate Arsenal. You stayed sat down, very surprising.
I'm professional, kind of.
In your mind you stood up, yeah. I'll finish this question in a second. Let's go to Ibrox. Another goal there, David Tanner.
65 minutes gone and Rangers are ahead for the first time in this game. It's Rangers 3, Dundee 2, and it is a spectacular goal scored by Todd Cantwell from the right wing. Was it a cross? Was it a shot? Difficult one. It went into the top corner anyway. As it stands, Celtic will have to wait until tomorrow to clinch the title, because it's Rangers 3, Dundee 2.
Rangers were just teasing, weren't they? Are you surprised by the crowd's reaction here at Tottenham, Reshmin?
Yeah, I am. I think it was about the half an hour mark, or maybe just a bit later, where I felt like there was just a bit more atmosphere, but otherwise it feels like an exhibition match. It doesn't feel like we're all here supporting our team. It's a very, very strange one. I think as long as we give a good account of ourselves, as long as we're not completely battered, I'm all right with,
The huge stand away to our right normally is very loud. And
always.
Yeah, and it's just not been like that tonight, has it?
And I feel like it's going to carry on like that. I feel like it is. Like I said, there was that one moment during the first half where some of the fans behind us were going, come on you Spurs, and there was a bit more atmosphere, but otherwise it's been completely subdued. It's a very, very strange night. Because
they're all Arsenal fans now. It's turned into Highbury the Library. That's what it is.
It's just a weird night.
It's a weird night of football, because it's been billed, isn't it, as what, this huge game, but it's
and
just
you wonder why they say football fans are fickle.
We are. We all are we not?
Do you know what, Danny? You're out of order, because footballers, football clubs, football teams do things to football fans that shouldn't be legal. It's not right what you lot do. The emotions you put us through.
It's all our fault.
It's your fault. I'm blaming you. Reshmin
created the monster.
Try to stay calm.
Thank you.
Don't storm out if it all goes right for Spurs, okay?
Okay.
Just enjoy the moment.
My best.
They're back out. They're both in a huddle at this moment in time. I'd love to know what's going on in both those huddles. That Spurs one, they're saying, listen, we don't want Arsenal winning the title. Just ease off a little bit, will you? Stop making good saves, Vicario. City still in their huddle as Spurs break. Let's bring you the second half. At the moment, Arsenal are in control. Spurs are the only side in the top 7 divisions in England who haven't had a home draw this season. Is that about to end? And will that be in Arsenal's favour? They're loving it right now, the Gunners. City break from their huddle. Let's get the second half on Talksport, live and exclusive. Spurs 0, City 0. Is Danny Mills and Sam Matterface.
Yeah, they've also scored in every single home game as well, Adrian. They haven't done that yet tonight. It is an extraordinary thing that Manchester City have lost all 4 of their Premier League games at this stadium. This wonderful, resplendent bowl, which has 3 tiers on 3 sides, and then that raking south stand away to our right, which, I've got to be honest, like the rest of the stadium, isn't really full for the second half as we get off and underway, with Tottenham Hotspur in white shirts, white shorts and socks attacking the goal away to our right, in front of that south stand that usually provides so much noise. City in that dark kit with a luminous blue and pink trim attacking the goal away to our left, and Kevin De Bruyne trying to attack, getting up to Dragosan, who plays it against him, goes out for a goal kick away to our left. Yeah, I mean, it is extraordinary, isn't it? They haven't scored a single goal here before tonight in the Premier League. They've lost each of their last 6 Premier League away games against Tottenham, also losing their final 2 Premier League games at White Hart Lane in Tottenham. However, they did win both their Premier League visits to Wembley when Tottenham played their home games there. But scenarios like this on tenterhooks at the end of the season with all to play for don't always bring the best out of everyone. Here's De Bruyne trying to shoot from the edge of the area after Tottenham play out, and it's saved by Vicario away to the left-hand side. What a mess that was by Tottenham, giving the ball away to De Bruyne of all people on the edge of the penalty area, and he spun very quickly, turned shot, and Vicario had to make a super save down to his left-hand side. Højbjerg's ball too loose, gave it almost straight to Akanji on the far side. He centred it towards De Bruyne at the edge of the box. He turned very quickly, rifled the shot goalwards. It was saved.
Oh, it's a great save. I think it's better than superb. It's absolutely magnificent. Comes to Kevin De Bruyne, probably 15 yards from goal, on the turn as it's bouncing, smashes it goalwards, probably about a yard and a half inside the post, and it's a magnificent left hand, really strong, powerful. A lot of goalkeepers, I think that would have bent their hand back, still gone into the back of the net.
Yeah, it's a slightly iffy situation for Vicario, and he had to come to Spurs' rescue there after Højbjerg had basically orchestrated the City attack with a poor ball out towards this near side.
It's the second time he's done that.
Here is Bernardo Silva moving up inside the Tottenham half of the field. It's been basically exclusively Manchester City's ball at the start of the second half. We played 2.5 minutes on Talksport. Here is Kovacic just over halfway, feeding it into Foden. Foden just left of centre, finds Gvardiol. I'll go through the 2-11s for you in just a second. Kovacic back in field, finding Akanji to Diaz, and Diaz with his hand in a bandage clips the ball out towards the far side, high into the air, chested down well by Walker. Walker swishes it back to Silva midway inside the Tottenham half of the field. 0-0 the score, 55% possession for Tottenham in that first half. Foden's made a run into the box, and searching for him was De Bruyne. Brilliant ball into the box, but he couldn't quite get on the end of, and then Pedro Porro allows it to run across his body, and now Pap Sarr making a charge forward. He is inside the opponent's half with just Diaz to beat, really, but he just held up the play, waited for Johnson. Johnson arrives, Son gets to the near post, tries to suck it past the goalkeeper, saved by Ederson. Good save as well by Ederson. Didn't really have the kind of focus and laser-like precision on the ball that maybe Son would have wanted, but it was still a chance, a half chance for Tottenham.
It's a difficult one for Son. He's well beyond the near post, about a yard away from the 6-yard box, and the goalkeeper's come out as well. So all he can do is try and dink the ball over the goalkeeper as it's coming across him. It's a really difficult skill to be able to do that. Goalkeeper Ederson spread himself well, blocked it.
Yeah, really good move by Tottenham. But Son always going to find that a little bit difficult to take in, turn and shoot in such a tight space. And Tottenham Hotspur find themselves in a situation where maybe if Ederson and his teammates, Manchester City, can dominate possession now, they can have a few opportunities on the counter-attack. And I think, Danny, that might suit them actually. Tottenham Hotspur in transition, trying to
definitely
get in behind the Manchester City defence.
We talked about that at the start, didn't we? How Tottenham going to score, how are Tottenham going to, be in this game. If City are dominating possession, there's a great opportunity always with the pace that they have in Brennan Johnson and Son on the left-hand side to break and use that pace to counter-attack. And I think as City get more and more restless, not panicky, I don't think they'll panic, but they will get a little bit nervous as they start to push forward. If it stays at 0-0, there's always that opportunity to even more to hit them on the counter-attack.
Spurs with Vicario in goal, right back of Porro, Romero, Dragusin and Van der Ven at left back tonight. And midfield of Pape Sarr, Højbjerg and Bentancur. Maddison as the false nine, Son on the left and Johnson on the right. On the attack with Son, edge of the area, right-footed shot which is blocked by Ruben Diaz. Never going to trouble him from that sort of range. Easily fended away by the Portuguese defender, and it goes up to halfway. Manchester City have got Ederson in goal, Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol, Rodri and Kovacic in midfield, with Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne and Foden behind Haaland in attack. And here is Foden down the left side, winning the ball, centering it towards Haaland. Oh, it's missed by Dragusin and Van der Ven, and De Bruyne goes out on the far side of the penalty area. Back into De Bruyne, bit of space. Here's Haaland to tap it home and in. 4 yards out, an easy finish, well constructed, terribly defended. De Bruyne to Haaland, and City inch closer to history. Take a stride towards the top of the Premier League and take the lead in North London. 51 minutes gone, Spurs 0, Manchester City 1 in the weirdest game of the season.
Well, the finish is a simple tap-in for Erling Haaland in the end, but it's a much, much better goal than that. Foden did brilliantly down the left-hand side, breaks away. Bentancur can't take him out, can't make that foul, and as it comes across, Haaland left the first one, then De Bruyne missed it, and a great little ball in behind. Kevin De Bruyne drives it across the 6-yard box, across the face of goal, 2 yards out, and Erling Haaland's there. No Douglas Luiz moment for him. A simple tap-in at the far post, doesn't miss them.
Well, no one of the Spurs persuasion celebrated in here, did they?
No, I didn't see that. Certainly Reshman didn't jump up and down.
No. It was all very conservative. But it is a crucial goal.
Sorry, Adrian's just corrected me. Diego Carlos, not Douglas Luiz. Apologies to him.
Yeah, it was Diego Carlos last night who...
Diego Carlos is coming quite pleased I got it wrong.
A similar sort of range. But Haaland doesn't miss from there. Goal 37 of the season. Is that the goal that puts them in control of the Premier League title race once more? Some would argue they were already and always going to be in control of it. They've scored now 54 goals in the second half of games, the joint most with Liverpool ahead of this week. Now it's more than Liverpool. Liverpool have been so good in the second half of football matches, but City are even better than that. And Spurs fans now, a few of them singing "Are You Watching Arsenal?" And I'm sure Arteta has thrown that Tottenham scarf that he was wearing whilst he was eating his Dominoes and watching the feed live and listening to Talksport. There's a bit of a collision on the halfway line, and Chris Kavanagh's got to have a word with Son just to temper the enthusiasm here. But it's 1-0 to Manchester City. And Spurs, for all their enterprising play and careful, methodical approach to the football match in the first half, undone very quickly in the second. And it was a little bit too easy, I think.
Well, you say that, Sam, but simplicity is genius sometimes in football. You know, it's good play. Foden did great down the left-hand side, the cross. Erling Haaland left the first one because he knew he couldn't get it and he knew there was players behind him. And then down the far side, De Bruyne has just slipped in behind the fullback. And he doesn't overhit it, he just rolls it across the face of goal, knowing that someone's going to be there. Erling Haaland is there, of course, with a simple 2-yard tap-in. So it looks very, very simple, but it's crafted. They work on that time and time again.
Well, best laid plans and all that. Tottenham Hotspur's best laid plans were to keep Manchester City at bay. They didn't manage to do that, and Bentancur, who didn't make that tackle, couldn't make that tackle because of the booking, has been dragged off immediately by Ange Postecoglou to be replaced by Rodrigo Bentancur. And the approach has got to change now for Tottenham, because they know that, forget Arsenal, they've got Champions League football on the line here.
Yeah, so tweaking formation as well. Looks like Kulusevski has gone up front as the centre forward, and Maddison's just dropped in behind.
Kulusevski on for Tottenham Hotspur. On the attack on the near side, the Swede, and the ball has been well dealt with by Akanji, who gets it back to his goalkeeper. I've just seen a brief video of Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy doing the Poznan in the face of Perry Groves on the watch along. Not even Noel Gallagher gets involved in that. Here is Romero.
He's got a bit more class, that's why.
That bunch of entertainers is on the sports bar tonight. 03717223344 if you want to make your call. Spurs 0, Manchester City 1. When the Spurs go marching in, look at Bentancur, furious with himself, furious with the result. He's gone over to the bench, he's kicked the seat that he's sitting in.
That's a red card.
He's karate kicked the seat, kicked away a bottle. Absolutely furious, Bentancur.
That's GBH on a bucket seat, that is.
Someone's got to pay for that.
That's two two-footed tackles and a throw of a water bottle.
It was a bit strange, wasn't it?
Well, he couldn't make that tackle on Phil Foden because he'd have got booked again and would have been sent off.
Spurs have won it inside Manchester City's half. 1-0. White's 1-0. There's still opportunities. Opportunities for Spurs, opportunities maybe for Arsenal, really, as De Bruyne goes down under a late challenge.
Oh, he's gone really badly.
Oh, he's gone, and he's hurt he's hurt something. He's screaming. I don't know what happened there, but he was tugged back.
I don't think that's the foul. I think he's fallen awkwardly.
Yeah. Perhaps Sarr sort of tugged him back and brought him down, and then as he fell, he was writhing around in agony.
I can't believe the referee hasn't. Oh no, he stood on his ankle. He stood on his. He doesn't mean it. It's inadvertent. But as he just goes to plant his foot, he stands on the back of his heel, catches his Achilles.
Oh, that's painful.
Studs right down there. He doesn't mean it. Why does the referee wait? He's rolling around in agony. He's clearly hurt. Get the physios on immediately.
Well, they're having a look at it, I think, on the VAR.
It's an accident, Sam. It's an accident. It's not a red card in any way, shape or form. He's not even looking at the player. The ball's ahead of him. He's looking at the ball. It's definitely not a red card.
Well, we're getting a replay of the goal.
See how...
And I've got to be honest.
Haaland just...
I know, but I've got
deliberately
to be honest,
misses
it starts with a missed tackle by Romero on halfway. Then it goes down the left-hand side. They failed to deal with a cross, which travels past everybody. And I mentioned it in commentary. Went past everyone's head. And then it was only De Bruyne that was alive to the situation, recycled it, pulled it through the 6-yard box, and he's standing there. I'm sorry, Danny. Simplicity might well be brilliant, but defending-wise, that's just not good enough, is it, at this level?
It isn't, but it's still a very, very good move. And
after doing so well for 55 minutes, how is it that you concede a goal like that, where you're just guilty of switching off?
And because that's what happens when the concentration levels are so high and you're having to be so on it. It takes one moment for a team this good to break you down. That's all it is. It's that one moment. And that's what City are good at. When you relax, when you switch off for that split second, boom, City score.
Well, the Arsenal fans won't like it. I'm not sure the Tottenham fans will like it that much when they look back at the defending, but the City fans are loving it. No chance of a late train back to Manchester tonight, so I'm afraid it's going to be staying over or getting the coaches back. But if they're taking 3 points back to Manchester tonight, that will be one hell of a journey. I think they'll enjoy themselves. It will mean that on the final day of the season, everything will be in City's hands. Not Arsenal's now. City 88 points. Arsenal 86. Arsenal will have to beat Everton and hope that City don't win their final game at home against West Ham. We will have one on Talksport, one on Talksport 2, 4 on the Talksport app as the final day unfolds on the biggest sports radio station in the world.
Was it West Ham that caused the upset when Blackburn won the title?
It was, and it was Ludek McCloskey, the West Ham goalkeeper, who had an absolute blinder.
There you go, you see. Strange things happen last games of the season.
Against Manchester United at Upton Park. Manchester United wearing, I think, a black kit that day. And it was Ludo McCloskey's finest hour. Pep's unhappy. I think he's unhappy with the challenge by Sarr on Kevin De Bruyne. We're just about to get underway again,
Sam, wasn't it? I mean, he's looking.
Well, you tell me.
He's looking down the pitch at the ball, which is away, and therefore he's not looking at Kevin De Bruyne, and he plants his foot and he catches him. It's a painful one. It's a sore one. But it's completely accidental.
After the goal, by the way, a couple of Spurs fans tried to do the Poznan in here. It didn't catch on. Here is Maddison, down the left, trying to get around the outside, produces a cross, takes a deflection, goes behind, and it's out for a corner to Spurs.
Well, it's raised the atmosphere, hasn't it, in here? Which is a bit strange, really.
Well, if it stays like this, Tottenham won't be able to get Champions League football. And Manchester City will have it in their own hands on Sunday. They'll just need to win against West Ham to win a 4th successive title. Unless Maddison, with a corner far side, 61 minutes on the clock, aimed in towards the near post, flicked away by Walker, out of the penalty area on the other side it goes. Dragosan will try to recycle it. Back to Højbjerg, edge of the area, waiting for it was Kulusevski, gets hold of it, left-footed delivery, in towards the far post. Romero collides with Ederson. Well, it wasn't 50-50, it was 70-30 in the goalkeeper's favour, and Romero's gone straight in on him, and Ederson needs treatment. Even Romero actually is a little bit concerned about Ederson.
Yeah, I think he's got a right to go for it, though. I don't think there's any particular malice in that. It's an in-swinger to the far post. He's in that position. He's a fraction late. That's all it is. I think he has every right to go for the ball. Ederson's just a bit too quick, gets there first. It's a collision, it happens.
Well, I don't think the Manchester City bench agree with you there. I think they think that was a overreach by Christian Romero, who went steaming in on the goalkeeper. I mean, it was a brilliant ball in from Kulusevski, maybe just a little bit too close to the goalkeeper. He was always the big favourite for it, Danny, wasn't he?
Yeah, but there's fractions in it. You know, I think when we see it on the replay, you'll probably see that he's probably a few inches away
Yellow
from getting a toe on it.
Romero.
Simple as that. He's not a million miles away from getting a touch on that. I think, first look, we've only seen it once in real time. I think he has a right to go for that. It's very, very unfortunate that the goalkeeper, obviously there's a collision in there, he gets caught.
I think it's quite fascinating that they are not showing us the replay. The referee, Chris Kavanagh, is now consulting the VAR, who is Michael Salisbury. And Romero, who has a little bit of history with cards in crucial matches. He was sent off in the game against Chelsea here.
Don't be prejudiced, Sam.
What do you mean?
Already want to give him a red card.
I'm saying the VAR is being consulted. He does have a history with cards. He has more cards than Clinton's.
Well, there you go, you see.
Well, Ederson's sitting back up again. And I think that's going to be cleared by the VAR. Immediately, I think Romero showed remorse, actually. He went straight over to Ederson to apologise. And it's just the yellow card for Christian Romero, who is still standing over the stricken Ederson. Goal at Ibrox, David Tanner.
And it's now Rangers 4, Dundee 2, 87 minutes gone. Substitute Scott Wright tapping at home at the back post. Rangers 4, Dundee 2.
Well, that means that Celtic can't win the title tonight. It does mean that tomorrow night they will need just a point against Kilmarnock away from home. We'll keep it covered here on Talksport when we bring you Manchester United against Newcastle. You are listening to Tottenham 0, Manchester City 1 on Talksport with Now. And don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Tottenham against Manchester City, live right now, contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports.
Surprised we've still not seen a replay. Edison's up on his feet, he's walking around, he's clearly okay, he's going to carry on. So I'd like to see it again. Oh, hang on.
A yellow card here for, well, someone on the bench. We didn't get to see who that was.
A member of coaching staff, or one of Pep's guys.
Xavier Mancisco, I think it was. Yellow card for him. Pep can't get another yellow card, because if he does, I think he misses Sunday's game. So he has to be a little bit more judicious with his words. Edison just getting instructions from Chris Kavanagh, and we are going to start again. It's been quite a lengthy delay, actually.
Yeah, it's been a good 4 minutes or so, isn't it?
The Spurs fans booing Edison as he about to get us restarted away to our right-hand side. It was the City goalkeeping coach who got close. As I said, it was Xavier Mancistador, who sounds like a ball runner at the
matador.
Pamplona.
That's the word you're looking for. Sounds like a matador.
No, ball runner. Have you ever done that? And in Pamplona, that sounds right up your street, by the way.
No.
Fancy
the Tomato Festival, though.
Do you?
Why not?
Here is Pedro Porro. He is from the Basque Country, to be fair. Here is Højbjerg, back to Drangasan, who sends it back to the left-hand side, and Son, and then Van de Ven, who's on the scamper going forward down that left-hand side. He runs so fast that I don't think his limbs could keep up with the speed with which he was travelling, really. And he took the ball out of play rather clumsily, and it's a throw-in on the right-hand side.
Yeah, he was travelling a little bit too quickly, wasn't he? Not quite the silky skills of a left winger.
They're going to make a change.
Yeah, Edison's coming off.
I don't think they're entirely comfortable with Edison being groggy. Why would you take a chance at this stage? That's the question, isn't it? Why?
And it's also,
what's the
head injury protocols?
Yeah. It's Silva over on the far side who has the ball for Manchester City. They're about to change their goalkeeper here, but they've given the ball away on the halfway line, but they've won it back very quickly and efficiently, City. And Edison has it deep inside his own territory. Hesitates, leaves it for Akanji, turns it into De Bruyne, and then he gives it away. Maddison out towards the far side. 67 on the clock. One goal changes the complexion of the title race, but won't get Spurs high enough up the table points-wise to challenge for a Champions League place. So they need emergency action if they want to keep those dreams alive. Manchester City just have to manage this game out now. Ball by Porro into the centre, easily dealt with by Walker, the captain, and he chests it back to Edison.
Shouldn't he just kick the ball out now? I mean, he knows he's coming off. He's clearly not right. Surely just kick the ball out. Spurs should give the ball back in that situation.
Well, we're waiting for him to do so. He hasn't done so yet.
It's almost like he's like, now I'll play on.
There's a foul on Phil Foden, which will allow the substitutions to take place. Ortega coming on, and Jeremy Doku coming on as well. So a double change.
He doesn't look happy about coming off, you know.
Well, you know what? He can be frustrated, but actually it's a sensible decision by the coaching staff.
But look at him. He's absolutely
Why would you
furious.
take a chance?
We're just seeing it again now.
It's really late.
It's not, Sam. It's not. Because have a look at his left leg. It goes beyond the goalkeeper. It's his right knee that catches him that's bent. There's nothing he can do about that.
Maybe
he's sliding at the far post,
but should he have slid in, bearing in mind that he has the ball in his hands for three-quarters of a second?
No, but he doesn't, because if the goalkeeper misses that, he scores. He's got to slide in at the far post. There's no harm in that whatsoever.
Well, Edison's furious. Pep is giving him the information as to why he's made the decision. It's a sensible decision.
He's just booted them.
Oh, he's throwing a tantrum now, Edison. De Bruyne's come off as well, and he's been replaced by Jeremy Doku, which is another big call, but they're 1-0 up at Spurs. Pep's trying to be, I think, very sensible, because he's got a goalkeeper who he relies on and he knows is very, very effective with the ball at his feet and a great shot stopper. Why take a chance at this stage? The title is on the line. It's for the benefit of the team, isn't it?
Well, and the benefit for his own health, and that's how we've seen before. It's probably the right decision for the player as well.
Here's Bernardo Silva, right side, into the area, feeding Foden. Went through his legs first time, poked away by Romero, and then picked up over on the far side by Sarr inside the area, and he will get clear out towards this near touchline. Taken down by Johnson, harassed by Kovacic. There's a foul on him. Johnson wants to get it moving quickly. Kovacic stops him from doing so. That's a yellow card.
And then threw the ball away a little bit. I think start of the season that could have easily been 2 yellows.
Yeah, well, everything's different from the start of the season, isn't it? Spurs started the season brilliantly, but they've faded since then. Since the start of November, Tottenham have taken 37 points.
Edison's still fuming, by the way.
It's bottom half form, Matt. They've taken fewer points in that period than Everton, and they went 4 months without a win. Edison is furious on the near touchline, and there's a little bit more joy at Ibrox. David Tanner.
Awful in the first half, tremendous in the second. It's now Rangers 5, Dundee 2. 2 goals in 5 minutes for substitute Scott Wright. Rangers 5, Dundee 2 after 94 minutes.
Well, they're keeping Celtic honest. Here is Johnson down the right side, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Ball into Kulusevski, trying to turn, bundles his way into the box, shoots through the goalkeeper's legs, and he just about saves it. Turns and recovers brilliantly, Ortega. It was a good move. Wasn't always in complete control of that, but a quick, swift turn. Akanji tried to clear it, couldn't do so. Came back to Kulusevski. He shot it, squirmed through the legs of Ortega, but he'd done enough to take the sting out of the shot, and he was able to turn and drop on it.
Oh, I tell you what, he's fortunate. It's a poor challenge from Akanji. Wasn't great. It goes through the goalkeeper's legs, hits his backside twice as it bounces up and down, and he's able to turn around and grab it.
19 plus stoppage time to go. Live on Talksport, 1-0 to Manchester City. It means that they only need to win on Sunday to win a 4th title. Doku picks it up. First real involvement since coming off the bench. Dances his way to the edge of the area. Stopped by Johnson. Collected by Akanji. And then it's back into midfield and Kovacic. Tottenham 0, Manchester City 1, live on Talksport. Rodri in the centre circle. Hasn't been a game of major events. Here on the left-hand side, Doku has it, takes it into the penalty area. Full-time 5-2 at Ibrox as the ball goes through the 6-yard area and goes behind and out for, what is it, corner? Yep, the referee eventually signals for a corner over on the far side. Vicario got a touch on it. It hasn't been a game of end-to-end, chance after chance, but it's been a game of major moments. That save from Vicario in the early stages from Foden, the save right at the start of the second half from Kevin De Bruyne, the goal from Haaland, and then the clash with Romero and Edison. They've been the highlights of what has been a very sedate affair here.
It's been tepid, isn't it? Hasn't really caught fire in any way, shape or form.
Not that Pep will care. It's all about getting the job done tonight. And so far they're doing that. Here's the corner, deep towards the far post. Headed away by Pedro Porro. Down by Kovacic. Into the air it goes. High into the air, and it is aimlessly bobbling away and out for a goal kick. Vicario wants to get things moving and get things moving quickly. There's still a bit of urgency about Tottenham, who know that without a victory today, their Champions League dreams are over, and maybe their chances of European football could fade. They've got a worse goal difference than Newcastle United. Newcastle have still got 2 games left. They've got Manchester United tomorrow night live on Talksport. If they were to win that, the final day of the season would be interesting.
Well, they can also be caught by Chelsea, can't they? They could drop out of European football altogether.
Well, it'll be fascinating to see what happens over the course of the next few days. Tomorrow night, therefore, is very significant, as Danny says, because of Chelsea and Newcastle being in action with their games in hand.
Well, if Chelsea win tomorrow night,
away at Brighton live on Talksport 2,
they'll then have a better goal difference by at least 2 than Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham lose their last game,
yep.
So that's them out of it. And goal difference, obviously, Chelsea would win their last game and Tottenham wouldn't. So they've got to be careful.
Chelsea at home to Bournemouth on the final day of the season.
Right. Newcastle's last game. Testing you now, so sorry.
Oh, you are really testing me out. They have got. Here's Brennan Johnson trying to spin in behind, doesn't quite get there. They've got Brentford away. 4 o'clock.
So again, very winnable.
Yep. Currently, Tottenham Hotspur 0, Manchester City 1. And for the ladies' odds, you can head to Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Spurs to win at 28-1, 13-2 on for City to win. The draw 11-2. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+, begambleaware.org. They're still concentrating on this match at this moment in time, and it's not finished yet for Spurs. There's still 15 minutes to go, and we've seen so many late goals, so many twists right at the end of matches in the Premier League.
Yeah, Pep will want another one to kill this game off, to finally put it to bed, to just make that last 10-15 minutes a little bit easier.
Yeah, but they are so good at suffocating with you with possession once they're in front, aren't they, Manchester City? As they are threatening to do now with Doku down the left side. Looking for Guardiola. Back into Doku again. Doku takes on Pedro Porro and Højbjerg, who both come out to him on the edge of the penalty area. He swishes it back, the Belgian, into Akanji. And it's infield to Rodri. And Akanji just keeps hold of it, sees it back to Ortega. And they'll build from the back again. Talksport live at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Dragosan made a mistake, almost ended up inadvertently giving the ball to Haaland. Reacted well enough to get it away from the Norwegian, and then Pape Sarr was fouled by Foden. Free kick to Tottenham just in front of the halfway line.
I think a lot of teams, when they go 1-0 down against City, they get nervous and they get a little bit scared about putting the press on again, because they've been opened up once. They're very, very concerned about being opened up again, and Spurs have gone a little bit cagey also.
Well, Spurs don't need to go cagey, do they? Because ultimately, all they've got to play for now is a victory here. They have to win.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
So there's no point in getting cagey. They might as well.
Or even a point. A point
on.
is still a good result for them. Again, it might come down. That point might get them into European football.
Yeah, discard the Arsenal narrative here. For Tottenham Hotspur themselves, the club, and Postecoglou, they need to get something from the game.
Definitely.
Here is Pedro Porro down the right side.
Also to take confidence into the last game of the season as well.
Maddison, Kulusevski in the right side of the Tottenham attack.
Yeah, imagine you go from hoping to finish fourth, a chance of finishing fourth, to then suddenly finishing seventh.
Well, look,
that would be a disaster end to the season.
No team in Premier League history who started the way Tottenham Hotspur started the season have finished any lower than third. So the fact that they're going to finish outside the top four is quite some indictment, really.
Well, that's
quite some fall off.
I mean, you're right, they did have a very, very good start at the beginning, but I think it was a little bit of a false position that they were in.
Maddison bends the ball from the centre out wide to Johnson. Johnson to Kulusevski. Kulusevski into Sarr. Sarr now back towards Maddison, and then Dragosan sends it wide to the left and Højbjerg. 13 to go. Ball drifted over the top. Chested down by Pedro Porro. Moves up towards the edge of the area, right side, blocked by Doku. Goes out in the way for a corner on the near side. 1-0 to Manchester City, live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps 120,000 people every day.
Yeah, Pep's not comfortable. He's been down on the very, very edge of his technical area for some time, on his haunches, on his knee. Just gone back and slumped into his seat again. He knows how important this is. He looks tense.
Kulusevski, bit of room to manoeuvre, shoots towards the far corner. He's over-elevated the ball. It goes over the top of the crossbar.
There you go, Pep's on one now, look. He's not happy. No one closing him down. He's very, very agitated.
Yep, it's nervy, but they look like they're getting the job done at this moment in time. And when the game finishes, you'll be able to call Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy, 03717 2233 I wonder if Jamie's going to wear that long sleeve Manchester City shirt
for the rest of the week,
all the way through the night. I don't think blue is his colour, I've got to be honest. He certainly didn't look like that when he was on a billboard in Times Square earlier in the week.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, not seen any of that yet.
Have you not?
No.
Oh. I'll just premise it by saying I think it's well worth a watch. Pedro Porro into the centre. Højbjerg. Sarr. Back to Pedro Porro.
I'm assuming not for its production value.
Absolutely. Listen, he's an entertaining guy, as you know. Ball on the halfway line. Maddison was fouled. His boot was taken off after a challenge from behind, and he was hurt by that. It was quite a robust challenge from Rodri as well, wasn't it? But he just caught the back of his ankle and took his boot off.
Yeah, I don't think he caught much of Maddison, fractionally caught his boot and it just slipped off.
Well, Spurs have shown their powers of recovery this season. And they have won a club record 25 points from losing positions. Only Liverpool have got more. Maybe. Here's Kulusevski. Oh, he's managed to get away from the defender. And then he's produced a terrible ball into the centre. I mean, that was a routine ball down the right-hand side, which really should have been dealt with. Kulusevski managed to twist back inside, and then he wasted the opportunity with a poor ball back.
Oh, it should have been dealt with defensively, you're right. But even then, when it came back in, it was panic stations from Manchester City. Akanji just having a swipe at it and not really getting any sort of contact. City are nervous.
Can Tottenham take advantage of that anxiety? Lovely ball by Haaland. Foden tries to send it forward, blocked by the face of Maddison, and now Tottenham have turned it over. Can they come down the right? Johnson's got it, charging into the wing position. Bit of space for Pedro Porro. Maddison wants it back in the number 10 position. Worked out to Sarr. Van de Ven on the overlap. Sarr shoots from distance. Poor decision. Back to Sarr again. City have got men back now, and they've given the ball away. And then Son knocks over Walker. Oh, the referee
that was a foul.
Somehow.
I know Walker was looking for it a little bit, but it was still a foul.
Maddison turns it over for Tottenham, who come forward again. Round the corner from Pedro Porro. Into the wing position, and Johnson threatening. Sends it to the edge of the box. Maddison chips it into the area aimlessly, headed away by Bernardo Silva. There's no one really to aim at, to be honest with you, in that centre of the penalty area. Everybody was sort of
City have lost control, Sam, haven't
either
they?
to the right.
They've got no control of the football at the moment. You know, Tottenham are playing with a little bit of freedom, keeping the ball well, attacking constantly. Yeah, definite problems for City at the moment.
Pedro Porro poking it forward down the right side. Can Spurs get an equaliser? It would change the narrative in the Premier League. At the moment, City are in control of what happens at the weekend, but a goal for Spurs would change that here. At the moment, they are on the edge of their seats, those City fans away to our left who've made the journey. There's quite a few of them, 3,000 or 4,000 of them in the corner over on the far side. They know their team have got the quality, but have they got the nerves to handle this last few minutes of the game? 8 to go. It's tense and it's tight.
But like you said, City normally suffocate teams, don't they? And stop you having chances, stop you having the ball. It's not really been the case since they've scored.
Giovanni Lo Celso about to come on. Ball out wide, over on the right-hand side. Picked up by Silva. Onto Walker, gets down the outside of Van de Ven.
Well, that would be a race, wouldn't it? Not sure who my money'd be on.
Well, we've been waiting to see that for quite some while, haven't we? He is the fastest player since records began in the Premier League, Mickey Van de Ven. And he's up against Kyle Walker, who's definitely no slouch. He fancied himself against anyone. Here is Diaz back to the edge of the Manchester City penalty area, controlling possession again now, just calming things down, not allowing Spurs to get forward. 83 on the clock. Oliver Skipp about to come on. Lo Celso about to come on. 2 changes for Spurs with 7 to go. Foden trying to get away from Van de Ven. He's tugged back by Van de Ven. Foden goes to ground. Referee allows play on, but it's just taken the momentum out of the attack. Silva grabs it, takes it back to halfway. Foden's back on his feet. City at walking pace. Just want to keep hold of the ball. They'll just wait. Retain possession. Probe. No need to go into chaotic mode and give the ball away. Invite Spurs to attack them on the transition. They want to be in control of the match. They want to see it over the line. They want to edge past this Tottenham team. They just want to get the job done tonight. It's all about being professional, seeing it out, getting 3 points. And they're doing that at this moment in time. Foden to Gvardiol. Left-hand side is Doku. In acres of space. He's fed him now. It's a poor ball by Gvardiol. Easily cut out by Porro. Clears it away. Terrible ball by Gvardiol.
Poor decision, poor ball. Should have released him much earlier and given Doku the opportunity. Tottenham making a couple of substitutions. Just wondering on that pace. When did records begin on pace? I'm testing you again, aren't I? Because I've played with some ridiculously quick players. I mean,
recently.
Oh, okay, to the likes of Henry, Richard Dunn were absolutely rapid when they got going.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact date that Opta decided to start measuring people's speed, Danny. That, I think, is beyond me. However, I can tell you that it's in the last 10 years, I think.
Oh, right, so yeah.
But thanks for asking.
No, I was just checking.
No, yeah.
It's because when you've played against some absolutely ludicrously quick players.
They only actually started measuring players' speed in the season 2020-21.
So it's not great, is it?
Well, it's 4 years.
It's not like the fastest player in the Premier League ever.
Well, it is since records began. That's what I said. I didn't say ever.
I know. I was just testing you. I was just interested.
And now you have your information.
I was just putting some context around it. That was all.
5 minutes to go. I was thinking for a second there you were going to assert that you were faster than Van der Ven.
No, not at all.
Yeah, didn't think so. Here is Foden over on the far side.
But I got ripped apart by several players that were.
Well, you got some more World Cup quarterfinals than he has. Here is Kovacic sending the ball up towards the halfway line. Oh, and then Brennan Johnson has won it. And Son is steaming through. It's Son against the goalkeeper. Oh, he's missed it. What a chance to put Arsenal back in control of the title race and put Tottenham level on the scoreboard. Son through the centre. He's hit it straight at the goalkeeper. What a miss by Tottenham's top scorer. Usually so reliable in one-on-one situations. Son speeding through. He's fluffed his lines.
How lucky have Manchester City got in that instance. Unbelievably fortunate. You're right. Son through one-on-one. It's a fantastic counter-attack. I think it was Akanji that got caught and gave the ball away. He's made a couple of poor errors in the last few moments.
Brennan Johnson hunting him down, won the ball, fed Son. He raced through to the edge of the penalty area. He didn't wait. He pulled the trigger early, and he pulled it straight at the feet of Ortega, the substitute goalkeeper.
It's a good save from Ortega. It's an outstretched right leg.
Look at Pep Guardiola. He's outstretched on the floor. He put his head to his hands and then he collapsed on the floor, prostrate, couldn't quite believe what he's seen. Stunned, absolutely stunned.
Well, I think he was stunned by the mistake from Akanji and then equally dumbfounded by it.
What a heart in both.
A poor
moment that was for Manchester City and their supporters. That was...
And Arsenal and Spurs fans and everybody else.
The title race, all in one action. He has to score, Danny, doesn't he?
I think a player of his quality should do a little bit better than that. It's a little bit of a scuffy shot, and he gives the goalkeeper an opportunity to save it. That's the disappointing thing. It's not right in the corner.
Foden at the other end with a free kick, with a chance to create something. Headed away, comes back on the edge of the area for Kovacic. He strikes it. Romero manages to get it clear. 2.5 to go. Manchester City lead by 1-0, but Son has had a golden chance, escaping from halfway, fed by Johnson, should have scored. Ortega saved. Foden.
Cynical Phil Foden.
Brings down Maddison as he threatened to escape, and that's going to be a yellow card. I think he'll take it at this stage of the
without
season.
a doubt, he knew exactly what he was doing. And again, I don't mind that. All top players have a little bit of an edge. He knew that Maddison was going to get away, and he just thought, no, not having it. You're coming down.
Well, there'll be Arsenal fans everywhere that are replaying that Son moment, that Son finish. 17 goals this season. The top scorer for Tottenham Hotspur. Usually so reliable in front of goal, but yet not able to have the composure at the right moment. He just didn't send it wide enough of the goalkeeper's reach.
Wasn't a particularly clean hit either, was it?
No, just didn't set himself particularly well there, Son. And he's usually so good against Manchester City. It's his 19th game against them today. He's got 8 goals and 4 assists for Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester City. But not tonight, not when it mattered most, not when it looked like all of a sudden the title was going to be up for grabs again.
Well, I don't think Spurs will get a better chance than that nearly into the last minute. But there'll probably be, 5 or 6, I would say, in terms of injury time. De Bruyne went down for a bit, didn't he? Edison went down for quite a while.
Foden sends the ball out wide towards the left, and Doku twists the ball in past Porro. Penalty. Porro brings down Doku in the final minute at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and now there will be no doubt that Manchester City have the chance to take matters firmly into their own hands. It was a hopeful ball by Foden from the halfway line out to the left-hand side. He just sort of hit it into an area for Doku to run into. He was faster than Porro, twisted inside. It was a lazy challenge by Porro, and he caught Jeremy Doku on the top of the foot. It's a blatant penalty. VAR won't even bother checking it. And now Spurs fans start to leave through the exits, knowing the inevitable, that Haaland is about to take the penalty. And when Haaland takes the penalty, he usually scores. They've had a lot of practice from the spot recently. This is their 5th in the last 6 games from the spot that they've been given.
Yeah, definite penalty, you're right. It was a lazy challenge from Porro. I'm going to guess that Haaland is going to go to the left as we look.
He has already scored once tonight.
So the goalkeeper's right.
They have scored 8 of the 9 penalties they've been awarded in the Premier League this season. Haaland has 37 goals this campaign. He steps up and now has 38, and Manchester City and their supporters celebrate him smashing the ball into the top corner and sending Vicario the wrong way, and City sees the Premier League power at just the right time. In stoppage time, at the end of a game in North London, the initiative switches to Manchester. Kovacic celebrates with Ortega. He knows he's made a big save and a big contribution after coming off the bench. But it's 2 goals for Haaland, 2 goals for City, and 3 points for Pep Guardiola, and a lead at the top of the Premier League, which now looks almost unassailable.
What a strike from Erling Haaland. He went that way. Fabulous. Absolutely no chance from the goalkeeper, even if he'd have went the right way. Powerful, pretty much in the top corner. But the relief from the City players, those celebrations were so tense. That was just emotion coming out after that chance that Son missed. Absolutely incredible. And now another few players are just pointing towards Ortega, just saying, look, we appreciate that save. That could be the season-defining moment for Manchester City. Son one-on-one with Ortega. He makes a fantastic save. A couple of minutes later, City are 2-0 up and the game's gone.
Well, just before that, Pep Guardiola, who needed the phrase translating in his press conference yesterday, started to learn all about squeaky bum time.
I'm not sure he got that translation either, did he?
And he certainly isn't too worried about it here tonight. It might come down to a bit of it on Sunday, but they know if they get their job done against West Ham United, they will be champions for a 4th consecutive season. Well, it will be record-breaking. No other team have ever done it in English top tier in 4 successive seasons. 4 in a row won't be new to Guardiola. He won 4 in La Liga as a player with Barcelona, and was the Bayern head coach for 3 of their 11 successive Bundesliga titles. But this is something different. This Manchester City team, who have got past Liverpool before, Arsenal last season, and now favourites, big favourites to get past Arsenal again, have won in North London tonight and may well dispatch the other team from North London by the time we get to the late afternoon sunshine of Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. Tottenham have a corner in the 4th of 10 added minutes at the end of the game. Ball in by Lo Celso, in towards the near post, headed away. Mikey Moore has come on for James Maddison in the celebrations. It's an opportunity for him, a youngster, to display his wares, his Premier League debut at the age of 16 years and 277 days. He's the youngest Spurs player to make a Premier League debut, and now Julian Alvarez is coming on to replace the goal scorer. The man whose goals have once again sent them to the top of the table. His 9th goal in his last 6 appearances in the Premier League. Erling Haaland, goals number 37 and 38 today.
And he's had an off-season by all accounts, according to some.
Well, he had 3 months off. I'm not sure about an off-season.
I said according to some. Not you, obviously.
He is the arch goal scorer, the number 1 finisher.
I mean, if City are to win this league, and obviously clearly they're big favourites to do that now. 4 in a row, and this has probably been their, sounds silly, worst season out of all those. The way that they've played it's not been as free-flowing as normal, but to do 4 in a row is just simply outrageous.
They know how big this is. You could see that with the celebrations of that penalty.
Well, and of course, Pep's not done it as a manager, has he, before either?
No.
Even with that great Barcelona side.
No. But he's done so much else, and he's certainly done a lot for English football. That lucky sweater in which he sweltered on Saturday lunchtime has served him well again in London tonight. Not quite the same in terms of temperature, but certainly the same in terms of intensity. Don't let anyone tell you this was an easy stroll in the park tonight. There was anxiety, there was tension. There was conflict of emotion amongst the Spurs supporters. There was an eerie atmosphere to it. But City, who weren't at their very best, have managed to come up with enough to get 3 points on the board and have a 2-point lead over Arsenal going into the final game of the season.
That huge moment, Sam, there wasn't it? Son through one-on-one with a goalkeeper. 95 times out of 100 he scores that.
It's a massive turning point.
Oh,
it's a massive
huge.
turning point.
And I would say he hits the goalkeeper rather than... It's a very, very good save.
He makes himself big, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, but he gives the goalkeeper the opportunity to make the save with his foot.
Would you credit Ortega with his starting position, the way he came out?
Yeah, of course. You know, the goalkeeper's done his job. Simple as that. But you'd expect a player to test the goalkeeper a bit more.
Rodri brings the ball away from halfway. Steers it out to the left, and Doku. 2-0 to Manchester City as we go into the final few moments here on Talksport. Doku trying to weave his way into the box. He does. Looks to feed Alvarez, away by Dragosan, who stops the ball inside the 6-yard box. 2-0 to Manchester City. 3 minutes to go. City haven't lost in 90 minutes since December the 6th. It's going to be 5 defeats in 6 for Spurs. A season that started like a rocket has fizzled out like a failing firework. Now they're in danger themselves of falling out of the top 5, really. If Newcastle win tomorrow, pressure will be on Sunday. Newcastle got to go to Brentford. Tottenham Hotspur do have Sheffield United. They will feel that is a game that they win. But nothing is guaranteed on the final day, is it? Especially now, they know exactly. They can't get the Champions League.
So you get some strange results. Last game of the season. Tottenham fans thinking, oh yeah, we don't really want to win this game. We don't want, City win it. Arsenal don't win the title. Just be careful what you wish for sometimes.
Foden from Rodri, spraying the ball to Doku. Doku into the penalty area, trying to get it onto his left foot. Drives the ball, goal would stop by Vicario. Good save with his chest. It bounces out to the near side, goes out for a corner.
Again, made himself big. Not sure how much he knew about that from Doku as he twists and turns one way, fires the left foot shot high, and it's his shoulder, I think, isn't it?
Well, Tottenham fans still leaving, knowing that the job is done. Manchester City lead by 2 goals.
You mean they've lost and Arsenal haven't won the title? That job?
Yeah, that job's done for them. The job is done by Manchester City. Tottenham haven't done it. It's all been Manchester City's work. The season has been attritional at times. They've had to jump over hurdles. They've been pegged back in games you wouldn't expect them to. They've conceded so many first goals in games, Manchester City, and had to really earn victories. 11 times they've conceded the first goal in matches. They've had to come back and scrap. But they're on the top of the table, and no one usually lets that slip. No one usually gives up the goes from there. 99 minutes on the clock. City leading, the ball in the corner. City knowing that they've secured 3 points here. Pedro Porro with a good move to take it out of the sky. Lovely little balletic move, but then Dragosan almost gave the ball away. Mikey Moore picks it up, charges towards the halfway line, hands it off to Kulusevski. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou and Pep Guardiola in the sports bar very shortly on Talksport. Remember, you'll be able to have your say. A Tottenham fan, how did you feel watching that game? 03717223344. Did you, like Jamie O'Hara, who's probably got far too much money, really, seeing as he went out and bought a Manchester City jersey today?
I bet he never bought it. I think he's probably taken one of those ones off the wall in the studio.
You're suggesting that it's gone on expenses, are you?
Well, no, I think he's probably broken the glass of one of those ones hanging around.
Here is Lo Celso, offside down the right-hand side. Anyway, he is going to be wearing that tonight. Were you thinking like he was, that he wanted desperately City to win the game? 03717223344. And what does that say? I mean, Ange Postecoglou was saying today, you know, we've got to make our own history. We've got to do our own thing here. You know, we've got to set our own targets and reach those targets. We've got to win our own trophies. Forget Arsenal. Don't worry about that. Worry about Tottenham. You've got to be cold-blooded. You've got to be a winner. You've got to make that mentality. And that is what Manchester City have done over the years. That's why they're going to win a 4th title in 4 years. Manchester City will have to win on the final day to be sure of the title. But they go into that final day of the season with a 1-point lead over Arsenal, knowing that if they beat West Ham, they will be champions of England for an unprecedented 4th straight year. For the last 35 years, every side that has started the last day of the season top of the pile has ended it on top of the pile. The last team to come back from behind to nick it at the death on the final day, Arsenal, 89 and all that. Surely City won't let that happen. Not this professional killer mode Manchester City. But you never know. Find out on Sunday, live on Talksport. 2 games, Talksport, Talksport 2, 4 games on the app. Every twist, every turn. Will the title end up at the Etihad? Most likely. Will it end up at the Emirates? It's still possible. But boy, City had to do a job tonight, and they've done it. They've beaten Spurs by 2-0.
Sam, thanks very much. And I tell you what, Danny Mills, the City fans are celebrating in that corner away to our left, as you would expect they would. But that second goal, the penalty, the celebrations after that, said it all. Listen, Spurs didn't roll over here.
No, they didn't.
I don't think City were particularly great tonight. They've got the job done. But that second goal, the relief was evident.
Oh, that's what it was. It was pure emotion, pure relief. But one of the really nice touches, everybody ran to that corner. Apart from Kovacic, he turned and he ran the length of the pitch to the other end to congratulate his goalkeeper Ortega, who made that save from Son. He realised in that moment, where it was all going off in that corner, that was the most important moment in the game.
Let's just describe that save, because Son is clean through. Akanji makes a mistake. Brennan Johnson hunts him down, and they're really going for it, Spurs. They want an equaliser. So Arsenal, don't make any mistake. If you've not been listening to this game, Spurs were trying to score an equaliser, and they should have done as well. Son goes through, and Ortega spreads his leg along the ground. My hamstrings pinged just watching him do it. I thought it was an astonishing save from Ortega. And then you've got the emotions before that of Ederson being so angry he was taken off. And then Ortega comes on, makes a save like that. It was a massive moment in the title race.
Well, so you have to say, great decision from Pep Guardiola. Was Ederson fit in that moment, to make those decisions? You saw how angry he was when he came off. Ortega was calm in that moment. He made himself as big as possible. He said he stretched his leg as far as he possibly could, made himself as big a barrier as possible, and Son hit it. He didn't lift it, he didn't get it right in the corner. So yes, it goes down as a very, very good save. the most important moment of the game. I would normally expect Son to do a little bit better than that. And then moments later, they're up the other end. Doku twists, turns, draws the penalty. It's a clear penalty. Haaland dispatches it with aplomb. And then the emotion, the relief from the City players, the bench and the fans, all for the eye to see.
It was the kind of chance, that Son chance, that Ollie Watkins would have dispatched. And congratulations to Aston Villa tonight. They qualify for the Champions League. The first time they've ever played in the Champions League. They played in the European Cup. They won the European Cup. For the Champions League, since it changed format, first time that they've got entry into that. And what a brilliant season they've had under Unai Emery. And I think they need a mention tonight, because although Spurs started the season brilliantly, over the course of the piece, I think consistently Aston Villa have deserved to be in that position. Well done to them.
Yeah, Spurs got off to a flyer, but consistency over the 38. Villa are there in fourth place. The table doesn't lie. They will be in the Champions League, but as I said on breakfast this morning, Villa will have to strengthen if they're going to compete in the Champions League. I think they know that already. Manchester City are in pole position, Danny Mills, going into the final day of the season, the final round of games on Sunday, which we'll have covered properly on the Talksport network. And just very briefly, let's look at the goals. Kevin De Bruyne with yet another assist. An astonishing season for Kevin De Bruyne. He played the first 23 minutes of the first game of the season, then missed 5 months of the season. He's now got, in 17 Premier League games, 4 goals, 10 assists. He's unbelievable as a footballer.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Oh. No, he is outstanding. And again tonight, that moment, again, it looks very, very simple from City, but it's orchestrated. They work on that time and time again. He was superb. I'm pretty sure hopefully his injury will be okay. Got stepped on, probably taken off as a precaution in the latter stages of the game, but he was superb yet again.
He was. And the second one, Doku came on. I thought he caused some problems. He ran at players, he committed defenders. He basically caused a nuisance, and they had to watch him. It meant that those full-backs, and we've seen Porro scored in recent games, Van der Ven scored in a recent game, Romero scored for Swift. The defenders just couldn't get forward. They were being occupied when they needed to get forward and try to force an equaliser. Doku caused them problems. In the end, he's got the penalty. Haaland scores it, buries it actually, doesn't he?
Yep. It's a fantastic penalty right into the top corner. He always seems to go that way. I called it before.
They always seem to be unstoppable as well.
Well, and that's it wouldn't have mattered if he would have gone that way. It was a fantastic penalty, absolutely superb. But yeah, City ground it out tonight and got the result that they so desperately wanted and desperately needed.
It is time now for us to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
I think this is a tricky one, Danny Mills. Who are you going for?
It's not. Do you know why? And it's not tricky, because I'm going to give it a strange decision. I'm going to give it to Ortega.
Right.
We've talked about that save. Whether it's a bad miss or Son could do better, but that is the turning point. Simple as that. Nobody for City was outstanding. Phil Foden was good, but not really in the final third. He was good in the middle of the pitch. He didn't have his usual spark and performance in front of goal. Had a great chance early on. De Bruyne set the goal up. Haaland scored 2, didn't do a lot else. That's what he does. But that moment, that wins City the title. That goes in, you're out of it. Done and dusted. So I'm going to give it to Ortega.
I'm happy you've given it to him. I know Haaland got 2 goals. Foden was pretty good as well. There were some good performances, but Ortega is the man who actually determined the course of the result with that save, isn't he?
Yeah, and I said he makes himself as big as possible. It's a David De Gea style save that he used to make with his foot. Outstretched as far as possible. Now, you said you'd have snapped your hamstring doing that.
Well, just watching it here.
Well, exactly, yeah. He does. He makes himself as big as possible. If that goes in, it's Arsenal's. Simple as that. That's how monumental that save is.
The substitute keeper, Ortega, man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.